Hey there, everyone. It's Julie Hutchison here from Think, Be, Do Leadership. And today we are on day 24 of Communication Fest. Tips and ideas of how to improve your impact and influence through better communication skills. And on day 24, we are talking about consistency. Consistency is key. Now, yesterday we were droning on or talking about droning on how people can go on and on about the same thing over and over again and how it can be really boring. Or was it the day before? I can't remember now. We were talking about it either yesterday or the day before. And what we want to look at now is kind of the opposite thing, which is why we should actually, in some sense, repeat ourselves a bit more, and please not in a droning or boring way, but looking at it from the other side of the coin is when and why should we say things again, say things twice, say things more than twice. So when people say to you, and naming no names, but my husband does this, and a lot of people say this to me, that they'll say something to somebody and then they'll go, "No, you never said that to me. I don't remember that you said that to me." And it's like people haven't taken in what you're talking about, and they're either, and you say, "Oh, they're not listening to me," and you get really annoyed, or is that just me? But you feel bad because they're not listening and they haven't done what you wanted them to do, and they say they're denying that they even said it, and you're like, "Oh, that's really annoying," and you don't care about me, because it brings up all these emotions of how you feel when somebody doesn't listen to a word you're saying. And so what we want to do is to look at, well, why aren't they listening? Why didn't they do what you wanted them to do, from a perspective of perhaps where they are a little bit. So go back to my husband. Sometimes he'll say to me, "You never said that to me," and I do say, like, "I definitely said that." But yesterday the same thing happened to me again with my son. There's a theme. Hey, maybe I'm not communicating very well, but the same thing happened to me with my son, where I took him to his kickboxing or taekwondo grading. He does both, and I'd taken his bag to meet him because he'd come back from school, and I said, "Here's your bag, and it's got your trainers and your kit and all these things in it." And I went off to take my daughter somewhere, and when I came back, he said, "I had to borrow somebody's trainers." And I said, "But I told you that the trainers were in there." And he said, "No, you didn't say that. You only said that my trousers were in there, my tracksuit trousers." And I said, "No, I said everything's in there. Your trainers are in there." And I felt a bit knocked, and he was confused. And it struck me that we have to remember that we don't take in all of the information. Now, all of the things we've done, it's day 24 now, and we've done some other stuff about chunking in the right way and saying things in a way that's going to mean something to somebody. But this is really, really important, because when I'm talking about this is if we say something once to somebody and unless they've confirmed, they've actually said to us, "Yep, what you said, Mum, is that the trainers are in the bag and I can get them out of the bag and the bag is over there," which is what I said to him. But unless he repeats it back and summarizes it to me, I don't know that he's definitely got the message. Okay, so first of all, and this is not part of consistency, but first of all, we should check that, and I didn't last night. But if we allow for the fact that when people listen, they don't hear the whole thing, they'll pick out pieces of what you've said. They'll pick out things that their brain think is relevant to them. Okay, so if I said red bag, there's your kit, my son has probably just gone red bag kit, and not appreciated and not expected me, doesn't know how nice a mum I really am, to take his trainers. He probably just assumed I'd forgotten to take his trainers, or he hadn't asked me, so I wouldn't have put them in. So in his mind, he has a perspective and a perception of what I'm going to say. So he has an assumption. Okay. Now he has many distractions. So he was probably thinking about his grading and all those things. So when that happens, your brain can only take in certain pieces of information. Yeah, it's somewhere between 2 and 7 pieces of information at any one time. So, of course, his brain is just going red bag kit over there by the bin. And all the rest of it is just a fuzz. But I'm thinking, I've done a good job here. I've said what I'm supposed to have said. And I wander off thinking I've communicated really well. Now, we could blame my son for not listening. However, since we actually want to have a win-win situation in our businesses, there's no good blaming people. We have to think about, how do I then communicate in a way that captures people's attentions and the relevant points are taken in? remember, probably best to check in with them. But let's think about it. So we've talked about, well, what's important to them. So tagging and chunking at a level where they really do understand. But sometimes you have to come at it more than once from different places. So you have to repeat yourself. Don't expect that just because you said it once, that person has taken on every single piece of information, especially if it's quite complex or it's got more than one or two things in it, because their brain isn't going to listen to all of the things. It's going to cherry pick those things that their brain thinks, oh, yeah, that's important to me, so I'm going to take that on board. So they will give you, it's like Chinese whispers. Think of Chinese whispers when you're a kid. Let's hope you don't play it now. So in Chinese whispers, somebody says it at the start, a bunch of information, and by the end of it, it's changed completely because little things, somebody's taken a different perspective and then another perspective of that and another perspective of that. So Chinese whispers means by the end of it, because you said it once, by the end of it, the message is completely unclear. So you have to find a way to come back at that message and say it again. So expect that you might need to send, I don't know, if you're going to say something to somebody, you might send an email. You might give them a picture and find a way to repeat yourself. Now, this is the difference between droning on and saying it differently, is to think about, how does this person take on information? Because if I need to be consistent in my communication and not expect somebody not to have to say something once, or only ever to try to get across a piece of communication, it didn't work, so I'm not going to do it again because they should have listened to me. Getting all upset, uppity about ourselves. No, if we think about it, okay, right, what different ways can I communicate the same thing? Can I summarize it in a different way? Can I come at it and say, oh, when I said this, have you managed to get hold of that information or whatever? But making sure that you understand whether that person has understood what you've said. Have they really taken on all the points or just taken on those little bits? And filling in the blanks, because the next time you tell them, they'll fill in a different blank if you put it in a different way, but only if you put it in a different way. Because remember when we talked about droning on, that's when people just say it the same over and over and over and over again. Yeah. So we're looking at, how do I say this in a different way that person's brain is going to be triggered to listen? It's going to be like, oh, meerkat moment. She just said something relevant to me. So it's about remembering to be consistent with your communication. And you might say the same thing. What you're thinking is the same thing over and over again, but making sure you say it in a different way will mean that you capture more of the holes in the conversation. Does that make sense? I hope so. So imagine if you're trying to sell something, or it's like Mars bars or something like that. Yeah. Nobody bought a Mars bar on the first one. And it's probably updated information, but like everybody says, oh, you need 7 times to see something before you take notice of it. Yeah. In marketing, well, it's the same, really. This is about saying, I'm going to present this to you in different ways, maybe even surreptitiously with a bit of paper on your desk or something like that, so that your brain starts to register. The first time it goes over your head, bits get taken. Second time, a few more gaps get filled in. Third time, a few more gaps get filled in, and you've got a whole picture. Okay, so consistency of your communication and not expecting somebody to take on all of what you've said in one go, in one format, let's say, and not doing that is going to make sure that you actually get your point across and you know that they've taken on all the pieces of information that they need. So that's today's consistency as opposed to droning on. So if you found that useful, then that's good. Well done. Thank you. If you're watching this live, hello. If you're watching this on replay, I should have said, if you're watching on replay, please put #replay and any comments or questions. And if you would like to develop the communication skills in your business for you and or your team, then you're very welcome to join us on our Confident Communicator program, which is a 12-week online group program. And or if you want your whole company to work on the communication skills, then I'm quite happy to come in and we do that in-house as well. Please PM me if you would like to find out more about how to access those trainings and coaching. Okay, thank you very, very much. And it's been Julie Hutchison here from Think, Be, Do Leadership. And it's Friday afternoon, and I think we could all do with a nice chill out. And so have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you. We've got day 25 tomorrow. And I'm not going to tell you what we're going to be talking about tomorrow because it's going to be exciting. So Day 25 tomorrow. Join me then. And remember, we've got 30 days of these tips. So make sure you find all of them, because if you listen to all of them and implement the tools and techniques that we're talking about, you are going to be a 100% better communicator than you were 30 days ago. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.